This, my brothers and sisters, is good news, because mountain symbolically for us does not carry the same meaning as it did for them. Mountains for us represent insurmountable odds and various difficulties that we have to face. Mountains for us are larger than life problems that keep us challenged on a day-to-day basis. Mountains for us are something that we're trying to get through. It's something that we're trying to get around. It's something that we're trying to get past. Something that we're trying to get over, which is why many times we ask God not to move the mountain, but to just give us the strength to climb. A mountain is a challenge in our life that we're having to deal with. And because they're so challenging, it's easy for us to miss a powerful message from God, focusing on the problem that the mountain presents. And so that's why my exhortation for you this morning is, don't miss the message looking at the mountain. Are you with me this morning? God has a message for you. And if all you're focusing on is the mountain, you're going to mess around and miss the message. As we look at our text, as we look at Matthew chapter 17 and beginning at verse number 9, Peter, James, and John have just witnessed one of the most awesome events of humankind. The law, represented by Moses, the prophets, represented by Elijah, and the fulfillment of the two in Jesus Christ is taking place right before their eyes. God has spoken from heaven, indicating that the law and the prophets are now giving way to the voice of his beloved Son, in whom he's well pleased. Moses disappears. Elijah disappears. And Jesus is the last man standing. The law of Christ will now supersede the law and the prophets. But the disciples have witnessed all that took place upon the mountain. But they somehow missed a very important message. Notice that when Jesus tells them in verse 9, they ought to tell the vision what they saw to no man until the Son of Man be risen from the dead. Jesus knew that what they saw would be a powerful testimony of who he really was after he had risen from the dead. There were some unbelieving Jews that wouldn't be able to grasp and digest the concept of him being the Messiah if they received the word of the vision too early. So Jesus says, don't tell it to them until after I've risen from the dead. My testimony of who I am, what I'm all about, and why I came will be more valid after they know I've risen from the dead. The disciples say, well, why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? If you are the Messiah, and if the prophecy is that Elijah is going to come before the Messiah, then why do the scribes teach that Elias has to come first before the Messiah? If Elijah is just now appearing, because they saw Elijah on the mountain. If Elijah is just now appearing, and we've been with you for the past couple of years as the Messiah, then why did the scribes say he was going to come before you if you came before Elijah? Y'all see the difficulties? Y'all see the missing of the message? If Malachi chapter 4 verse 5 teaches that Elijah is going to come first, and here we've been with you for these past few years, and Elijah is just now showing up, and if you are the Messiah, why did the scribes say that Elijah was going to come before you when in our mind you came before Elijah? Y'all getting this? Well, listen to him answer. Verse 11. Elias truly shall come first and restore all things. say unto you that Elias is come already. In verse 11, Jesus is validating the fact that what Malachi prophesies is sure enough going to happen. Yes. The prophet didn't make no mistake. The mistake was made by those who didn't recognize who Elijah was. Right. Jesus says Elias has already come, but they didn't know who he was. Right. When Elias came, he came in the form of John the Baptist. Yes. And Jesus said Elias came, but they didn't recognize him. And just like they didn't recognize the forerunner of the Messiah, they're not going to recognize the Messiah. Right. So don't tell them what you saw until after I get up from the grave. Yeah. Y'all getting this? Don't miss the message. Yes, looking at the mountain. Right. Matthew chapter 11 verses 7 through 14. Just jot that down for your notes. But Jesus says, among men who are born of women, there has not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Right. He that is least in the kingdom is greater than he. And Jesus said, if you can receive it, this is the Elias that was to come. If you look at the mountain too long, you'll mess around and miss the message. By focusing on the events of the mountain, the disciples somehow missed the message. Brothers and sisters, I'm mighty afraid this morning that many of us as children of God are guilty of the very same thing. Amen. Some of us are so consumed with the events of the mountain that we have missed some very powerful messages from God. Amen. I got two I want to share with you. Then this lesson will be yours. Two messages from God that we don't need to miss looking at the mountain. Number one, God don't need numbers. The numbers need God. Amen. Can I say it again? Amen. God don't need numbers. The numbers need God. We are conditioned to believe that there is strength in numbers. Therefore, we focus more on who we have. All right. Did y'all hear that? All right. We focus more on who we have than what we have. And what we have is so much powerful than who we have. Because God don't need the numbers. The numbers need God. If we got 10 that know how to love, they're better than 100 who know how to hate. Y'all getting this? If we got 5 that have hearts of compassion and mercy, they're worth more than 50 who are self-centered and self-righteous. The Lord taught us the value of just dealing with the minority when he says, which one of you would have 100 sheep, and if one be gone astray, will you not leave the 90 and the 9 and go after the one? God don't need the numbers. The numbers need God. Which is why Jesus says that heaven rejoices more over one sinner that repents than over 99 who don't need to change. God ain't fascinated with no number. As a matter of fact, God will reduce y'all looking at me funny. Chapter 7. God will reduce the number to show you that the power is not in the number. Judges chapter 7. And beginning at verse number 1. Then Jerubbabel, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him, rose up early and pitched beside the well of Hap, so that all the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moriah in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, notice this, the people